Hey guys, Ian or Soft here. Today I'm going to be showing you my PS4 and PS5 game collection. Just to run you through some stats. I'm going to show you the physical first and then the digital after on my TV screen. But I have 25 physical PS4, 7 digital PS4, 3 physical PS5, and 2 or 3 digital PS5. Depends on how you count Astro's Playroom. But a little bit about my history. When I started playing the PS4, I had an Xbox One. I got that on launch in November 2013. I played all my games from 2013 to 2018 on the Xbox One. And then I was really wanting to play all the exclusives that I'd missed because I'm big time into single-player, third-person story games. And those are pretty much a lot of the good ones are on PS4 and PS5 now. So I asked my mom and brother for a PS4 and they got me one. And then I'm now on PS5. I have PS5 Slim over there, which you'll see in the digital part. But yeah, let's just start running through the physical games here. First one up is Watch Dogs. This is it's one of my favorite games of all time. You're going to hear that a lot throughout this, but this is one of my favorite games of all time. I actually played this on I have this on the Xbox One up there. I don't know if you can see on the very top shelf. But I got that on launch May 27, 2014, and then I beat it on there. I've beat it like 3 or 4 times on Xbox One now, actually. I think 2 or 3 times, something like that. But I love that. I've 100%ed it, beat every side mission. I love the radio music on there. I just played the... I know this game got panned because of the E3 graphics. Maybe it's not the best game ever. I don't know. I love Ubisoft, and I love, open world Assassin's Creed type games, so... Yeah, and then when I got my PS4, I was really intrigued by that, the 60 minutes of exclusive gameplay, and I played it, and it's nothing crazy. It's it's with DedSec, the hacker group that's in there. They got much bigger in Watch Dogs 2, but yeah, it was cool to play it on a different console, different controller, and I actually beat the game on here again, so it's good to have a save of this now going into the PS5 now. The next game is Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. I'm going to talk about Heavy Rain first. Heavy Rain was not my favorite. I'll show you the discs there. It does come with 2 discs. Some of these collections don't always come with 2 discs, but this one does. Yeah, Heavy Rain was not my favorite game. I'm glad I played it and beat it because it's kind of one of those games that you always hear about and just always curious about. I mean, if you don't like Quantic Dream games, obviously you're not going to like these and the story cinematic games. I love those, and I hate that I didn't like Heavy Rain very much because I'm very much an advocate of these games. I think they are really video games, just a different kind, you know. But they're amazing. Most of them are amazing games. I just didn't personally like Heavy Rain too much. It's a little outdated. Voice acting's weird. It was very kind of... It's out of its time in some ways, but I think they forgot some fundamental aspects along the way as well. And I think they improved upon that in Beyond Two Souls, which is weird because I feel like I hear more positive things about this game than this game. But I love this game a lot more than Heavy Rain. But yeah, the actors in this and everything, they really tried to make it like a movie, but with video game elements tied into it. And yeah, one of my favorite games of all time, Beyond Two Souls. Next up is The Order 1886. Again, one of my favorite games of all time, probably. And, yeah, this game got critically panned when it came out, because apparently it was, the main story is 6 hours, and there's nothing else to the game, it's just the main story. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very much an advocate of, quantity or quality over quantity, and, I don't think we want to get to a place where we're pushing developers to do open worlds and side content and filler content. I think that this type of game is, if this is what it has to be, is good. You know, I got it on a discount, probably $20, but you know, for the people who paid $60, you know, maybe they didn't feel that they got the value out of that, and that's fine. Everybody can have their own opinion, but I do think you can sort of be treading in murky waters to be pushing them to make games longer, because it's not always going to be that the quality maintains for the whole game. You're just going to be pushing them to make a game longer with filler. So I don't know. You obviously don't want every game to be 6 hours, but I think occasionally, and I think they should be honest about the length too, and the marketing and everything. But you know, someone just picking this up in Target or Walmart isn't necessarily going to know that. So I'm mixed. I do think that it should be it should be more. I mean, it's also on the onus is also on the customer though to research a game and know that not every game is going to be long. But I would rather this than bloated open worlds, bunch of filler content. I think this is a much better option. Obviously you'd love it to be 20 hours, but if it has to be 6, I think it has to be 6. Because I don't think there is a massive studio ready at Dawn, and unfortunately they moved on to do a bunch of VR games, which is for somebody, I'm sure, but I'm not really into VR, and I know they wanted to make more. There was a sequel plan. If you've ever seen the ending of this game, you'd know. But yeah, I really think this game got a bad crack, which to be fair, a lot of people have said now. It's not just me saying that. Next game is Unpacking. This technically should be more on my Xbox One Game Collection because I played it and beat it on the Xbox One Game Pass. But for whatever reason, all the limited run companies, this one was limited run originally, but I got it on Amazon is why I said originally. But yeah, for whatever reason, Microsoft, they don't mess with limited run companies, so I had to buy it on PS4. I figured PS4 made more sense because it was the same generation. They do have a PS5 version, I don't know. But yeah, this is a remarkably fun game. I know you just look at the cover and what it is and you think, oh, it's nothing. And I love these like simulator type games, but this one is more than that too. It really kept you coming back. It did start to get stale towards the middle where because you follow somebody's whole life, unpacking their life from like a young child to an adult, and as they get an adult, obviously adults have a lot of stuff, so it did get a bit tedious. But I don't want to say that to demean the game because the game's amazing. You just may have to play it in spurts, which is what I did. But yeah, I kept coming back to it, so that's how I know I loved it. But yeah, it's I would just say don't judge it by its cover. It's a remarkably fun game, and it does have a story in a sense because you see their life and emails and stuff like that, so you get to get an idea of their life. Yeah, it does say limited run for some reason, not on the front cover, but it says right there. And then next game is Infamous Second Son. This will be pretty quick. I've always been interested in the Infamous series. For whatever reason, they've never done proper releases of the original 2 Infamous games on PS4 or 5. They really should. They're streaming only, and apparently the streaming's not very good. Maybe I should give the original 2 a crack at some point, but I played this because it was the only one available, and I know it's supposed to be sort of a reboot of the series. I just didn't get on with it. I think I played about a couple hours or something, but maybe come back to it one day, but it didn't really wow me. Next game is WWE 2K22. This I just got not too long ago. I loved the WWE games when I was younger, when they were still made by THQ, SmackDown vs. Raw. I loved those games. I played like every single one that ever came out on the PSP. And then I fell out of wrestling and fell out of the wrestling games. But just recently I got like a big urge to play the Royal Rumbles again. That was always my favorite part of the PSP games. And so I actually, fun story is that I think it was the only time I ever, maybe I did it a few times, but I won a 30-man Royal Rumble starting as number 1 with Rey Mysterio, which is obviously he's like a short little guy. So it's not like Big Show where you can muscle people out and do that. So it was like I basically was playing on like extremely hard mode, and it was really fun to do that. But yeah, it was a lot of nostalgia coming back to this because even though it's a different developer, it's remarkably similar. They've kept the vibe alive, I have to say. But I don't know if this is really my bag anymore too much to be playing games like. To be playing wrestling games, but it's good to have, and 2K23 is also pretty cheap. I might pick that up to see if there's any changes, but yeah, it's fun to have for Royal Rumbles if nothing else. The next 2 games are part of a series, The Last of Us Remastered. I love this game. This is absolutely one of my favorite games, probably top 5, if not like top 2. Number 1 is coming up actually, but yeah, definitely high up there. It's almost hard to explain why it's so good if you just don't know. And I know some people have said it. I've heard before people don't like it. I just don't understand that at all because it's just exactly my type of game. 3rd-person story, all that kind of stuff is just exactly my kind of game. And this was one that I always wanted to really give a try. Obviously I couldn't because I was playing Xbox One for so long. I did watch Tobuscus play this game back in the day. For whatever reason, he never finished the playthrough, which was kind of a blessing in disguise because I got to play it the whole way through myself. Obviously, I had seen some of it before, but yeah, this was definitely high up on my list. I think it was one of the first games I played. Then we have its sequel, The Last of Us Part 2, which I know is going to obviously very controversial for the spoiler at the start of near the start of the game and everything. But um, I love this game. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. The story's very weird, especially as it gets to the end. It's just a very odd game. I don't want to say anything because I know it's still semi-recent and not a lot of people gave it a shot. I would say if you stopped playing the game because of the spoiler, or you never played the game because of the spoiler, give it a shot. Like it's some of the best gameplay I've ever played. It has a ton of replay value, and the story is interesting, if not the best. And also you have to set aside, you may not personally like the content of the story, but it can still be a good story in some ways. I don't know. I'm totally not gonna say it's perfect by any means, but I do love this game. I just recently beat it. I bought it, I think, actually in 2020 or 2021, but I just recently beat it, and I'm glad I gave it a shot. Sorry, I just got interrupted there for a second. But continuing on with the next game. The next game is Assassin's Creed: The Ezio Collection. This is my favorite series of all time, favorite games of all time. If I made a top 10 and I didn't have to do like one per series, this would absolutely probably be almost the entire top 10. I just love these games. Sometimes I don't even know what it is about them, but I just love them. I'm not a big fan of the way it's gone currently, but I beat all three of these games back in the day, like 2013 or so, in like the space of a week. But yeah, I beat Assassin's Creed 2 on the Xbox One. I bought the Ezio Collection digitally, and I was about to start Brotherhood on there, and I was like, maybe I want to play it on my PS5. So I went out and bought this. Bought this so I could play it on my PS5, and maybe I'll jump into Brotherhood soon. I've also bought another game that is sort of intriguing me to play, so I'll decide between those. But yeah, these are probably my favorite three games of all time. So if you've never played them, if you're one of those people that got stuck in the first game, which is right there, first game, which is definitely has its quirks and stuff, but yeah, you should definitely give these games a shot. Next game is Death Stranding. This was a game I really wanted to love. I remember watching the trailer, being excited for it because I love walking sim games. I don't find that term an insult at all because to me, it's just a signal that it's a really engaging game with a good story, I popped this in and played it, and I didn't get very far. We played a couple hours, but yeah, this is high on my list to give a second chance because I know I've heard a lot of people love it. This next game is Star Wars Battlefront. This just came with my PS4. I did play these games a lot on the PS2 and PSP back in the day, but this one was obviously very different. EA made it and everything. I have the sequel as well on the Xbox One. Never really did much with these. The only thing that is appealing about these games to me is the that you can play as a bunch of different characters. That you can play as a Sith Trooper or anything in these games. So that's kind of why I bought it. But yeah. This next game is Cyberpunk 2077. Obviously very controversial when it came out for being broken and refunds and all that, but now it's apparently a much better game with the new updates. I just got this at a swap meet for $3. I don't really know if I'll ever play it because I've never played a CD Projekt Red game, so I'm not sure if I'm super into their style. I know they made the Witcher games. I also don't like first person. I was hoping this game, I remember following this game's kind of marketing originally before it came out, and I was really hoping it would end up being a third person game, but they went first person, which doesn't really appeal to me, but maybe I'll give it a shot since I have it for $3. Why not? This next game is Resident Evil 2. It's still sealed. I actually just got this at Walmart for $10. It was on deep sale, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I know this is the remake, which I'm not really a big fan of that whole trend of remaking games. I think these games are probably the best case scenario because they're pretty old and they actually probably do need some improvements, but I kind of wish developers were making all new games. I think that's a better use of time, but for $10, I figured I'd try it. I've never actually played a Resident Evil game before, so yeah, probably play that at some point. This next game is Until Dawn. I did not like this game at all. It's actually, unfortunately, put me off from ever trying another Supermassive game. Not to say I would never do so, but I really did not like this game. It felt punitive, the way that, only your choices determine who survives, but it just felt like it was random at times, especially towards the end. Characters can just die randomly from minor choices, or at times there's a section in the game, which I won't say for spoiler reasons, but there's a section of the game where if you do something at an earlier portion of the game, you can seal a character's fate at another point in the game. and between that you can do nothing. So if you do that thing, the character dies. There's nothing you can do. And I don't like that it's not really choice based, because it's sort of random. So I don't know. I like some of the actors in this, Hayden Panettiere, Rami Malek, and everything, but definitely not my. I didn't like it. I did beat that game, but I didn't really care for it. This next game is Days Gone. I remember seeing the trailer for this back in the day with all the zombies and being super excited for it. This studio actually used to make like PSP games. Like they made the Uncharted game on the PS Vita as well, but they used to strictly make smaller games. And this was kind of their big shot. I don't really know if it paid off. I've played a little bit so far, 2 hours, and I don't really have strong opinions on it. I don't hate it. I don't love it so far, but I really wanted to love it, and I know a lot of people do. It's kind of the same case as Death Stranding. I should give this a second shot soon. I did play that very recently, so yeah, maybe someday I'll beat that. This next game is, I'll probably have to read this one, Disney Classic Games Collection, The Jungle Book, Aladdin, and The Lion King. These are all like old SNES and SNES Mega Drive games. I actually only got this for Aladdin. I played this actually on an emulator on my Wii back in the day. A friend's dad came over and set up an emulator on our Wii, and I played the SNES version of Aladdin, which is on this disc now. And the second I heard that, I was like ordering that immediately, because I'd never been able to play the game. I didn't really want to buy a SNES and have to do all that. So yeah, it's pretty cool to have a modern way to play that game. I don't really care about the other games. Maybe I'll give them a shot, maybe I won't. But an actually interesting thing I wanted to show off too is that right here, I don't know if you can see that, make it out, I think you can. If you notice, the Aladdin and the 16-bit classics are not blurred, but the Jungle Book is blurred. Apparently that's a printing issue that's only on the PS4 version, which I wanted the PS4 version because I'm kind of moving to strictly playing PS4 and PS5 games and not using my Xbox One so much. But yeah, it's kind of a cool little thing to have. I don't think it'd be valuable or anything. Next game is Killzone Shadowfall. This was exactly like Infamous Second Son, which was like, I couldn't play the games that I really wanted to play, which were the old Killzones, and this was again like a soft reboot for the series. But yeah, I didn't end up liking this game too much. I started it. I love the Call of Duty campaign, so I thought that I would immediately love love Killzone as well. And I played a little bit, just never got very far. I believe this is a Guerrilla game, which they went on to make the Horizon games. I've never played the Horizon games, but yeah, this is actually one I should go back to at some point, because I didn't hate it. It just, I think I played a lot of exclusives. I played like all the big exclusives, some that I haven't even said yet, and yeah, I think maybe I was a little burnt out by the time I got to Killzone and Infamous. So it's good to keep them and maybe try them out one day. This next game is Detroit Become Human. Obviously, I showed you the other two Quantic Dream games, and I own another Quantic Dream game digitally that I'll mention at the end. But I haven't played this game. I actually got, it's the Quantic Dream Collection. It's 2 cases together in a bundle. I've not started this game at all. It's always been on my list to play, but I wanted physical copies of every game I'd ever beaten. So knocking out Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and getting a copy of Detroit for whenever I play it was a pretty good deal. I think it was like $50, which is a lot, but not really when you think about it. You get 3 games. Yeah, see, not for resale. Came in a bundle. This next game is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game complete edition. I got this at Best Buy. Apparently this version is exclusive to Best Buy. I was kind of in a limited run. I was kind of in a collecting mood at the time. Obviously still sealed. I think I paid $15 for this. And yeah, I don't know if this is really my type of game, but like I said, it's cool to collect sometimes, just to have a game, Maybe you play it, maybe you don't. But yeah, I also kind of like the idea of having something limited run. Could be valuable. Yeah, for $15, why not? This next game is Borderlands Game of the Year Edition. I actually just, obviously still CLA, I just picked this up recently. I played this game back on the 360 back in the day. Didn't get very far in the 360 version. I just kind of loved this cover. Again, just sort of collecting. It was $20 cheap. I've been doing that more often, just sort of buying random games that I don't even know if I ever intend to play. This next game is Spider-Man. I've played a little of this. I got this for for Christmas one year for my brother, and I do have the sequel digitally, which I'll show later. But Yeah, I didn't get very far. I loved the Amazing Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the 360, which is based. Those are based on the Andrew Garfield movies. I loved those games, especially the. I really loved the first one. I got that on GameFly. I never could get very far because it was GameFly and I had to return it. And then I beat the second one, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is apparently like one of the most panned games ever. I had no clue at the time. Looking back, maybe it wasn't great. It definitely wasn't as good as the first Amazing Spider-Man, but it's crazy to see how the backlash that game gets. But yeah, this is another one I should get back to. I'm kind of at a weird spot where there's a bunch of games I've started and a bunch of new games. I'm sort of in a rock and a hard place deciding what to do because I feel like it's a waste to never really give these games a fair crack. Only giving them a couple hours doesn't feel right. So yeah, definitely those big ones I should go back to soon. This next game is Ember. I have no idea what this game is or anything about it. I got this for $6.50 at Best Buy. Actually, when I got Scott Pilgrim, just kind of another collecting thing. But yeah, cool to get a game for $6.50. And funny enough, it was actually on the shelf with no price label, and I looked on Best Buy's website and it's $6.50, and then it rang up. So if you ever see a game I do that a lot at Best Buy. I see a game, I'm like, this could be on sale, and I look it up, and sometimes it is. So the next game, this is all a series. The first one, which is a collection, is Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection. This is sealed, but I actually beat all 3 of these games. I borrowed this game from my cousin back when I got my PS4, beat all 3, and then I just got a physical copy later, so I'd have it in my collection. But yeah, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. I played them all back to back to back, so I don't really have like strong memories of any individual game. I loved them all. So I think a lot of people say 2 is the best, and 1 is obviously very good. 3 is kind of the divisive one, but I loved all 3, so I can't really parse them out. But yeah, this was one of those games that's just like pure fun. It's not as serious as The Last of Us, which is obviously what Naughty Dog went on to do, but still like serious enough and just amazing fun. And then obviously the next game that would come logically after that is Uncharted 4: Thief's End. Again, same story, beat it, loved it. I really liked the modernization. I think it's necessary that games do that. You don't ever want a series to get stale and obviously there was a long gap. I don't know when Uncharted 3 came out, like 2011 or so, and this came out 2015, I believe. So there was a pretty long gap. So it's a good thing that they did modernize this. And obviously fits more in to similar games. Yeah. Next game is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. It's kind of crazy this has a physical release because it's just a standalone DLC basically, but I guess they did really want to make you know that it is its own game. I believe it's pretty short. I loved it. I loved it. I know there's a little bit of controversy over this as well, but I loved this game. I loved every Uncharted game. Obviously, these 2 characters were in Uncharted 4, and then they got their own game. But yeah, different story, interesting in its own way. I love that these types of games. I loved Bad Blood, which I should have talked about Watch Dogs. I love Watch Dogs Bad Blood, where he plays T-Bone. I never played Assassin's Creed 4 Freedom Cry, where you play as Adewale, but I love that concept of taking characters from the main game and giving them their own game. Really interesting to me. And then now we're moving on to my 3 PS5 games, and then obviously you guys will see the digital portion that I've already recorded. First game, I guess I'll go in release order. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is still sealed. I've never played this game. I've never played Odyssey either. The last Assassin's Creed I played was Origins, which I beat. I'm not really a fan of the direction they've taken with the series. Odyssey was reviewed pretty bad, and this was reviewed pretty bad. Not that maybe I give that impression, but I don't fully go off of reviews, and I do plan on giving Odyssey and Valhalla a shot. What I kind of been wanting to do is replay those old games. I'm gonna do Brotherhood, Revelations 3, and then I never actually played 4 because I didn't like the naval warfare and I didn't like the ship combat. Really put me off the game, so I never gave that a fair crack. I want to play that. I never played Rogue for whatever reason, even though I had it. But yeah, I kind of would like to play the whole series before dipping back into these. But one day, if I decide against finishing, maybe I get bored replaying games, then maybe I will hop into Odyssey and then Valhalla. This was $15. I just wanted to have it because it was the only mainline game I didn't own in any way. I didn't have this game at all, so I wanted to have it in some way. $15, why not? And then the next game in the series, Assassin's Creed Mirage Deluxe Edition. This is actually in my PS5 right now. This is kind of why I bought a PS5. I know it came out on last gen, but I'm thinking this is probably getting close to the time where you probably shouldn't be playing games on last gen anymore, because they're going to be not perform as well, not graphically as well, not as good graphically. But yeah, this really intrigued me because it's also returned to form, because Odyssey and Valhalla are obviously these massive 50-hour nightmares to me. But yeah, this is returning to form. The sad thing about this, though, is that I don't think it's going to last. I think they're just going to go right back to Odyssey and Valhalla, because this was originally supposed to be a Valhalla DLC. I have started this. I bought my PS5 with this and immediately started playing it. Kind of slowing down. I popped it in for a little bit today, but yeah. Like I said, I'm sort of rocking a hard place, not sure what to do. I kind of either want to replay all the games or just do the ones I've missed, which would be 4 and Rogue, or just go back and do the modern ones like Odyssey, Valhalla, and then this is kind of in its own category. If I play this, I might just play it alone. Yeah, really not sure what to do with Assassin's Creed games. They're my favorite series. I loved them, but they're kind of hard to love nowadays. So definitely on my mind though to continue. The last game we have here before we get to the digital portion is The Last of Us Part 1. This is actually, I just got this for Christmas this year, and obviously a remake, which I'm not a big fan of remakes, like I said with Resident Evil 2, but this was a unique case. I watched some gameplay of this, and they actually did change they did for Resident Evil 2. I'm not saying that they didn't, but they changed the UI to match Part 2, which is interesting to me, that it's graphically, it sort of feels like they're bringing this game into the modern era and properly, so that in 5 years time you can play this game in Part 2 and they'll sort of be cohesive, which is interesting to me. I still don't think it needed a remake or anything. It's also not been super long since I played the first game. I didn't play it on release. I played it in 2018 when I got my PS4. So I don't know when I'll play this, but it's good to have on deck for when I want to do that. And like I said, the UI, the graphics, it's the best way to replay the game. This is a game, like I said, one of my favorite games ever. So if I replay it, I probably would obviously replay it this way. But yeah, that is it. You'll obviously see the digital part. But yeah, have a good one. Thank you guys for watching. Okay guys, just gonna run through my digital PS4 and PS5 games, as well as a couple that I don't own anymore, borrowed. There's 2 that won't show up on this list actually. One is just an obvious mention, which is Astro's Playroom. Obviously that's included on every PS5 ever, and then the other one is God of War 3, that actually came installed on my PS4 when I bought it from the previous owner. I've never actually touched it. I would probably go back and play the original God of Wars, like 1 and 2, 1, 2, and Ascension, if I ever was to play that, but not really high on the list, because the only way to play those on PS4 or 5 right now is streaming, I believe, which isn't very good. But the first one on this list is Teardown. This was a PC game forever. I played it on an old laptop that it did not run well at all. And when I heard it was coming out for a console, it was like a day one buy. Played it a little. I need to get back more into it. But yeah, it's kind of like a fully destructible world, sort of a reverse Minecraft in a way. It's pretty interesting. It was actually my first experience with the adaptive triggers. When you use the fire extinguisher in the game, the trigger has resistance to it. I'm sure that's not news for anybody else, but for me it was. And then we have Spider-Man 2. This was just a freebie. It was the download code was included with my Slim PS5. I've never finished the first one, as you've seen earlier in the video. But if I ever get there, then I'll play this one. Styx Master of Shadows. The sequel to this, Shards of Darkness, is available physically, but for some reason the first one never was. It's on sale for $6. I saw a gameplay video of it, and it seemed like a really interesting stealth game, so I will definitely get around to that one of these days. It's kind of an intriguing one. Then we have, obviously skipping all the ones that you've seen already physically, we have Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. My friend is big time into the Sherlock Holmes games, and he convinced me to play Crimes and Punishments on my Xbox One right there. And I loved that game. I beat it, and I quickly, kind of stupidly bought Chapter 1 on here, and The Devil's Daughter on the Xbox One. and I've never actually played either of those, but I am interested. I'll play them eventually. But I could not find this game physically anywhere. I would have done that. I found Devil's Daughter physically, but all the physical copies were like super expensive or something. So, but yeah, I saw a sale on this, and then I actually saw it for cheaper later. But I saw a sale and I bought it. So, oh well. And then we got Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. This is a walking sim, and I actually love walking sims. Firewatch is one of my favorite games ever. So I don't say that term as an insult at all. I started this game. It didn't like immediately hook me. The premise is very interesting. I've always loved the concept of like being dropped into a world where everybody's disappeared. You ever seen the first episode of The Twilight Zone? I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, I need to give this game another shot. Then we have Indigo Prophecy, or Fahrenheit as it's known in European regions. This is like Quantic Dream's, I think it's their second game, but it's their first big game that was like a narrative cinematic game. And it's definitely aged, because this was originally a PS2 and Xbox game, but it was really, really good for what it was. I need to give it a shot. I've beat Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, as I mentioned earlier, but yeah, this one is it's just a little, it's obviously dated, but I need to get back into it. Then we have God of War 2018. This is actually I'm more interested in this than the old God of Wars, but this was just a freebie. It came included on my brother's PS4 when he bought it, and he had no interest, so I got it. And eventually I'll get around to that, and probably Ragnarok as well if I end up liking this. Then we have NBA 2K20. I honestly have no idea why this is on here. I was looking through before this and was surprised to see this. It's either my brother played this on my account for some reason, or he put his account on my PS4 and it, like, for whatever reason, threw it in my library here. I have no idea, honestly. And then we have The Quiet Man. This was a Square Enix game, I believe. Came out like 2018. It reminded me a lot of a game called Past Cure, just like visually. I love like third-person story games, even if they're smaller budget. I love anything like that, so I was immediately interested in this game. It had a really interesting E3 trailer where we like played with the sound, and it was live action mixed with gameplay. But the main character is deaf and mute. He's either deaf, just deaf, or just mute, or deaf and mute. But the game really actually probably one of the coolest things the game does is play with like the sound of the experience of a deaf person. But yeah, it was kind of low budget and definitely not like the highest budget game. But I got kind of panned critically, but I liked it. It was definitely short, had its quirks, but I liked Past Cure more, and that definitely had some pretty bad quirks. But yeah, both solid games for the budgets they were at. Then we have Madden NFL 18. This was a game that came with my PS4 when I bought it, just a loose disc. It was actually the game the person sent me a video of to show that it worked. But I got rid of the disc years ago. But I do one of the main reasons I want to mention this was that I plan on buying a physical copy eventually, just because it'll make my collection complete. Then we have Fortnite. It's just a free game, obviously. I played that a little with my friend, not really into that. Then we have Nier Automata. I borrowed this from my cousin. I was really curious, but it wasn't my type of game, and I just kind of proved that for myself. I might actually also buy that one physically at some point, just because it's like literally the only one other than Madden NFL 18. But yeah, that is all my digital PS4 and PS5 games. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.